Welcome to Pauline's place, and to a part of Pauline's place that I don't like people to see. It's the garage, or the garage, and it's meant for cars and maybe some tools, but there's everything here. And I'm doing something important. I'm sorting, moving on, moving out. And there's a lot of things here, many which are not mine, but over the years people have brought things here. Pauline, can you find a home for that, or can you look after these things? I'm going on an overseas trip. Some of those people haven't returned, so I've got a job to do. The quote on the calendar for today talks about how the bee does not rob the flower of any fragrance and does not disturb the beauty of the flower as it passes through and takes what it needs for its life. And then it adds, and so that's how the wise move through the world. And I couldn't think of anything more unlike what the bee does than what happens in this garage. So have a look at a few things. So this little sticker is a symbol of previous good organization, good intentions, and it says tents. But inside, I know there's sporting equipment. That's what it is. But this one says tents too. But the tent is over there in the corner of the garage. I'm looking at some treasures that would not really look like a treasure to a lot of people. Do you know what's in this box? Have a close look. It's a reel-to-reel tape, and there's lovely music and sound on that. It's only 8 tracks, and once upon a time I put down 7 instruments, I think, or 6, and 2 tracks of voices. And it's called We're a People to Belong to Master. That is the master track. It's history, many years ago. We're a people to belong to. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. If anybody younger than me looks at it, they don't even know what I'm looking at. They don't even know what a cassette tape is. And I've got some of those in this garage. And here's some leftovers. I thought they'd be so useful, but I haven't really used them. What is this leftover? You've got them in your garage, I think. Well, it's a medallion. Do you know that every baby that was born at the Waikato Hospital in 1999 received a medallion like this? I loved it, and I loved doing it. And on the back then was their name. But these were the leftovers. There was no name. And I thought, what can I use them for? But they have the date. They say Waikato Millennium. What do you do with that? Well, when I look at it, I remember so much about that event. But one would do, or maybe none, because the memory would still be there. Well, above me are lots of suitcases, some of them mine, some of them those people who went on trips far away and haven't come back. And in here is a challenge for me, because they're all pictures, picture frames, certificates, awards, things like that. And I've had them in here for maybe 3 or 4 years, and I don't think I've missed them. What's your garage like? I've been to some garages where everything is labelled and everything is beautifully neat and tidy. Well, I think that's very admirable, and I wish I could say the same for this garage, though I think I know where everything is. A garage is a reflection of the order in your life, or sometimes the many, many facets of your life. And this garage has had just so many facets. But now it's time to clear it up, label what belongs here, and take the rest away. And that's like the bee. I want to come back to the bee, because we are meant to keep creating order out of chaos. And sometimes the chaos is about giving your best to people and sharing your belongings or your space. But just now and again, we want to create some order. And I think that's what the love of God does with our lives. not our things, but our lives. There's a time for sorting, a time for packing up, and there is a time for creating chaos. Stan wrote an adaptation of Ecclesiastes 3 some years ago now, and he keeps adapting it for people's specific events. Sometimes it's an achievement, sometimes it's their funeral. But my goodness, it's a wonderful thing for us to listen to, and I'll read it to you. There's a time for everything. There's a time for everything. There is a time for moving and making a new start. There is a time for packing up and saying goodbye. There are times for strong debate and disagreement. There are times for mending rifts and healing. There is a time for sorrow and weeping. There is a time for laughing and joy. There is a time for the bliss of young love. There is a time for cuddling small children. There is a time for finding new understandings. Losing things and forgetting a part of life's rhythm. There is a time for conserving all we have. There comes a time for sorting out and throwing away. There is a time for tearing up old clothes and old ideas. There is a time for reclaiming virtues long forgotten. Keeping our thoughts to ourselves has its place in life. On other occasions, we must speak plainly. Sadly, there is a time for war, and gladly, there is a time for peace. It seems there is a right time for everything. We desire to know the future, but this knowledge is beyond us. So we must do the best with what we have as day follows day. If today is one of your better days, enjoy life's riches. If today is dark with sadness or regret, quite simply, your work is to hold on until you find the light again. Don't waste your tears. Your troubles can be a tutor. Through tears, new insights can come. Remember this: God is love. Love is at the heart of the universe, and only what is done in love endures.